Hello everyone, it's Ninja Chortle once again, and I want to talk about Deadpool. Now, I've already done a review on the movie, and if you haven't seen it already, it's been a week, so don't complain to me about spoilers or anything like that. It's been more than a week actually. If you're interested in seeing my review, I'm going to post that right here so you can give that a click. So it's right there for you to click and you can go straight to that review. Also, this post though is not about Deadpool really, it's about Colossus and why this Colossus was the best Colossus that we've ever seen on TV or any sort of movie version of him. If you're interested, also the link to the written article to this video, there's a video version and there's a written version. Link is going to be in the description below, but let's get right into it. I just made a pretty mighty claim. This is the best Colossus ever in the Deadpool movie. And I mean ever in all of TV and all of movies and all of the versions that have ever existed of Colossus outside of the comic books. This is the best version of him. I could make that same case for the video game side as well, but I'm not going to go there. We're going to strictly talk about the movies and TV versions of Colossus. We're going to go through all of them, some a little quicker than others, but this is the best one. Now, we get to have Colossus in this Deadpool movie because Deadpool is pretty heavily associated with the X-Men. Now, really, he's associated with everyone. He gets around all of the Marvel universes, but his ties, his roots come from New Mutants 98, which was an X-Men-ish book. It's, they were mutants, obviously, and Cable is in that book. Cable made his first appearance a few issues prior to that. Then Deadpool came along, and so on. Eventually, New Mutants became X-Force, and a lot of those mutants just become X-Men members eventually. But for the record, Deadpool is not a mutant. He is a mutate. He is not born that way. He was experimented just like you saw in the movie. Sure, the origin is a little different, but again, this is about Colossus. So we get Colossus because 20th Century Fox, they do the X-Men movies, and they did this movie, and it's all in the same universe. Same thing with the Fantastic Four. All of that is connected. So we got Colossus, and we got Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and we get more X-Men, hopefully, potentially, and the sequel will have Cables. Spoiler, not spoiler alert. So this is why we get him. Now, why Colossus in particular, I don't really know. A lot was said about why him that doesn't really make sense. Why Colossus out of all the X-Men, but I couldn't be happier now that I've seen the movie that it was Colossus, because out of those original movies of the X-Men, Colossus was one of those characters that did not get a fair interpretation. Same thing with Cyclops and Gambit and Storm and, well, pretty much everyone that wasn't Wolverine, Rogue, Professor Xavier, and Magneto. If I didn't just name your name right now, you had a terrible interpretation in those original trilogy of movies. I still like most of them, but Colossus was really weak. He wasn't even in the first X-Men movie. The second X-Men movie, he was in, but still very brief. I think he had one speaking line of dialogue, and we saw him transform from regular man to Man of Steel, organic steel, and stopped the bullets from bouncing off his body and protected the kids as they were leaving the X-Men mansion from the Stryker army. And X-Men 3, again, more of the same, not a whole lot of them. He got the fastball special at the beginning of the movie with, and if you don't know what the fastball special is, that's when the Colossus picks up Wolverine and chucks him, and Wolverine has his claws, so he's very dangerous, and he's stabbing whatever is a Sentinel or if it's another enemy or whatever. But that's just a classic X-Men comic book thing, and they gave us that in X-Men 3. But again, really not much Colossus to speak of. Now, he was played by Daniel Cudmore, and now Daniel Cudmore did the best that he could, but he just really didn't have an opportunity to showcase any acting talent. If he has some, I don't really know how great he is, but he was cool and fans did like him, and we wanted to see more of Daniel as Colossus, but we just never really got it. fast forwarding to the most recent X-Men movies, he wasn't in First Class, but he was in Days of Futures Past, which is, the past and the present X-Men. That's probably the best Colossus we've seen out of those movies. And again, there still wasn't a whole lot of them. Now, you should have seen me in the theater when X-Men Days of Future Past came out. I watched it by myself. I had the biggest smile on my face during that opening sequence. It wasn't because Colossus was getting killed, which I thought was just super cool seeing that. It was really more of the Sentinels. I loved the Sentinels so much, and they were so calculating and cold and dangerous and powerful. There's nothing that the X-Men could do, and we saw that in the screen, and I was just giddy about it. Now, he had that great fight, and he gave it a good shot, but he ended up getting ripped in half, and again, that was totally cool. And later on in the movie, we see another fight, the ending fight with Colossus, but again, still not a whole lot of Colossus, and we don't really get to know that character, feel that character at all. So those X-Men movies just did a huge disservice to Colossus. Now, as far as Daniel Cudmore going forward, he was offered the role for Colossus in Deadpool, but he ultimately turned it down because the studio, they wanted the mocap for Daniel Cudmore as Colossus, but they didn't want his voice. They wanted to use their own voice. Now, coming out of that movie, I loved hearing Russian Colossus. That voice just, it permeated within me. I loved hearing it. It's like, Colossus is alive. This is Colossus. And that's something that Daniel Cudmore, as far as I know, couldn't provide to this role. He's not Russian. He doesn't have that accent. This just came natural because it was a Russian guy that did the voice work. And something that we couldn't get out of Colossus before. Maybe that's why he didn't have that many speaking roles, because he just wasn't able to do a Russian accent the way that Colossus needed to be Russian. That's enough for those movies, but let's talk about the other versions of Colossus. So there was that Colossus that was in Superhero Squad. If you ever watched Superhero Squad, here's a clip of that now.
It's 3. Один, два. You're right. What should we do?
Thank goodness.
Now, I love Superhero Squad. I really do. I think it's a hilarious show. I highly recommend it for anyone that just likes Marvel anything. It doesn't matter what age. It is totally a kid's show, but I think it's hilarious. Don't take it serious. The voices will throw you off a little bit, but it's a great show. But with that being said, that Colossus was kind of a jock, the sports guy, not a whole lot in the head, and really just not a whole lot of character to him. He was only okay. Now, those other animated versions of Colossus, there's the Colossus that appeared in the anime that was on G4 back in 2011. All we really got was this picture of him. He didn't say anything, do anything. This was on the last episode. This is all that we ever saw of Colossus, and that's it. He wasn't part of the roster that was featured on the show. Also, there's that Wolverine and the X-Men show that had Colossus for about like 18 seconds. That's pretty much all that we got from him. That was the first episode, and we don't see Colossus again. Don't know what's up with that. Now, there's also the X-Men Evolution show. Now, I'll go ahead and say that as much of an X-Men fan that I am, and I love them, I never really liked X-Men Evolution, and I didn't really watch it. I've seen a few shows, but it just didn't tickle my fancy. And when doing this research for this video and for the post on the website, I saw a few, glimpses of Colossus, and he appeared he appeared in 7 episodes, but I only saw him in glimpses. There really wasn't a whole lot of him. I didn't see any main focus in the episodes that I watched. I watched maybe 3 of them. He was an acolyte. I have a problem with this Colossus because if he's supposed to be, 500-600 pounds when he's turning into this organic steel, why is Wolverine able to just throw him into a car and throw him into a barn and just toss him around? Wolverine isn't that strong. The man weighs 600 pounds. He shouldn't just be able to toss him wherever he is. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Again, cartoons, comic books, I get it, but still, that's just not a good Colossus to me. And I guess maybe because he was a teenager, I don't know. I didn't like it. Now, if we head to the Wayback Machine, Colossus did appear in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends in that X-Men centered episode. I have seen it before many years ago. I couldn't find any real footage of it to show you right now, but trust me, it just wasn't all that amazing. It's just, I mean, he's just there, but yeah, it is what it was. It was the 80s. Speaking of the 80s, though, there was Pride of the X-Men. Now, if you haven't seen Pride of the X-Men, it's about a 30-minute, maybe like 25-minute short, kind of like a short film of the X-Men. It focused on Kitty Pryde when she joined the X-Men for the first time and how she interacted with them. It kind of was the plot of the X-Men arcade game, which is one of my favorite games of all time. But that Colossus is pretty decent. He had decent voice work. He was drawn very well, although he was very slender. He was cool, but there wasn't a whole lot of him. We do get some personality there. We get a little bit of how he's like, both in the steel form and in his normal human form. But that show wasn't focused on Colossus at all. There's only a little bit of him in there, but still decent. The only real rival here for the Colossus in Deadpool is the Colossus that appeared in the 90s animated show X-Men the Animated Series. That Colossus was great. Really great. But 2 episodes is all we really got out of that Colossus. He was not a part of the main team. He didn't join on later on. He only really appeared in the first season because Juggernaut had wrecked the X-Men mansion, and Colossus was in town and he was destroying buildings just to earn some money and construction work. So the X-Men thought it was Colossus and it was actually Juggernaut. But that was the whole thing. There wasn't a whole lot of involvement. I mean, he did help them bring down Juggernaut, but that was it. He didn't join the team. The next season, we get Colossus a little bit more expanded because we get some origin story on him. We get to see his mother and father. We get to see Ileana, who's one of my favorite X-Men, grows up to be Magic.
For another lifetime! Do not stop! Take us both! I shall not!
Be gone!
Oh, Piotr! You've done it! You've stopped him!
Yes, Ilyana. We are free!
Well, again, we get some background. They're in Russia. They're fighting Omega Red. And all of that stuff is really cool. But that's probably the best Colossus that we've ever seen outside of the comic books up until now. So what makes this Colossus in Deadpool so darn good in the first place? Well, just go with the aesthetics at first. He looks awesome. He is huge guy. He is big Russian man. He is really big shoulders and muscles. The lines on his arms are there. He's got the wide eyes. The face capture on the Colossus looked really great. He moved well. He's a big guy. He's not like some super fast dude. You can see that in his movements. His voice acting was awesome. Again, I said it before, they really did a great job with that. The name of the actor is not in my head right now, so I apologize to him. But really great job with the voice acting. And in general, he looked cool as hell. Now, I really wish that they had got away and gave him a X-Men Colossus uniform, but it's the way Bryan Singer has set up the whole universe, and they really don't like doing that. Now, thank God that we got a Deadpool that has his comic book uniform, because I couldn't imagine Deadpool any other way. But again, Colossus wasn't in his uniform. It was really nice seeing Negasonic Teenage Warhead in a standard X-Men uniform, though. So there is hope for the future. There's hope for X-Men Apocalypse that we can see some more individuality. We already know Psylocke's going to be in her very comic book look, so we'll see. For a little bit of criticism or just negatives, even though we got all that great stuff out of Colossus and the Deadpool movie, we still didn't see him in his human form. That would have been nice. Just to see him, like, why is he constantly metal? He was at the X-Men mansion. They weren't being attacked. Why couldn't he be regular Peter Rasputin? Just a small criticism. Also, I'm pretty sure he's really strong. Why was Angel Dust able to just basically manhandle him? Now, don't get me wrong. Sure, Angel Dust has a lot of strength. She's a strong lady. But Colossus is made of steel, and he's a really big, strong guy. Sure, they might be able to fight, but there's no reason why she should be able to punch him in his metal balls and knock him out cold. Like, that doesn't make sense. She should have broke her freaking hand. Like, he's made of metal. What's the point of being made of metal when people punch you and they hurt you? Well, at least we got a great Colossus. Again, this is the best one that we've ever gotten. And the fact that they actually did care to make sure that Colossus was not just a big, strong guy, but they gave him his personality. They gave him the fact that he is really a huge softie. He cares about all of his friends. He cares about all of his family. He cares about life. He can fight, and he knows what he's fighting for, but he knows that he's not trying to kill anyone. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He's not a killing machine like Deadpool is. He's not someone that will just he's not someone that will act without thinking. And he cares so much about what Deadpool is going on in his life. He cares about all of his friends and family. He will do anything to protect them. And this movie showed that, especially in that one scene when Angel Dust and her shirt was coming off. Colossus is the type of guy that would stop there and say, "Hey, you need to fix your shirt. I'm sorry." He got taken advantage of, and that's his biggest weakness, is that he has a big heart. He's a huge softie. So they put all of that in this movie. Like, what other superhero would you know that would actually do that? Well, you probably wouldn't even have that in any other superhero movie, but outside of Captain America, no one immediately comes to mind. But then there's Colossus. He's totally a nice guy. Okay, maybe Nightcrawler would probably do the same thing too. But still, this is a great Colossus. I hope that we can get more great X-Men, especially in X-Men Apocalypse and in future X-Men movies, and that this will be a great model as to how to make a superhero character translate into a big screen. Because, hey, all of us fans, all we've ever wanted is say, "Hey, see this guy in this comic book? See this guy? Make him there on the big screen." That's all we've ever wanted, and they kept changing that over so many years and not giving us what we read, but we finally got what we read out of both Deadpool and Colossus. So hopefully, again, we'll see a lot more stuff like this in the future with the X-Men, with the rest of Marvel, and with DC, and whoever else decides to adapt a comic book movie onto the big screen. I just want to say thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, share the video with whatever social media you have, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We put up all types of videos as well as blog posts on our blog, blurdy.com, about gaming and comic books and cosplay, movies and TVs. We have reviews, we have previews, we just discuss whatever is happening in our nerdy world. So make sure you go and check us out. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Twitch, so you can watch us play games. And we also have an Instagram account which is 100% dedicated to cosplay. So if you are a cosplayer or just a cosplay lover, make sure you follow us on Instagram. But you're here on YouTube or maybe watching us on our blog, blurdy.com. So while you're here, make sure you start watching this video right here. Set in the 70s. Was resetting the entire timeline for everything that happened after that. So that includes X-Men 1, 2, and 3. That includes Wolverine, the X-Men Origins Wolverine, and everything. All of that is gone. That Deadpool, none of that is existing anymore. So do not think that you're gonna get that Deadpool.